Look, there is electioneering and then there is cynical electioneering, and I want to begin by pointing out the obvious to you. We know that the Indian Armed Forces live and die as one. You can see, viewers, in the middle of your screens. There's nothing that differentiates them from each other when the tricolour is draping their sacrifice. After all, a bullet doesn't differentiate either. Death stalks all equally in the forces, which is why the army knows no caste, creed or class. Courage is the only attribute that is respected and the only identity that is worn with pride in the Indian Armed Forces. That is why politicians, viewers, who view the forces from the prism of identity are committing an unforgivable sin. A Bharatiya Sena with soldiers split along class, caste and creed will not be able to put service to the nation above self. And which is why, viewers, tonight, Rahul Gandhi's remarks in the final overs of campaigning today are so disturbing. In claiming that a small coterie of upper caste, 10% to be precise, control the entire forces, the Congress scion is sowing the seeds of caste resentment in our armed forces amongst our uniformed men and women who see each other only through the prism of the nation and their Indianness, viewers. Listen to Rahul Gandhi.
सबसे बड़ी कंपनी की आप लिस्ट निकालिए और इसमें पिछड़ा, अति पिछड़ा, दलित, महादलित, अल्पसंख्यक, आदिवासी को ढूंढ के निकाल दीजिए। आपको कोई नहीं मिलेगा, आपको एक नहीं मिलेगा। सारे के सारे 10% आबादी में से आते हैं। सारा बैंक का धन उनको जाता है, सारी नौकरियां उनको जाती हैं, ब्यूरोक्रेसी में उनको जगह मिलती है। आप जुडिशरी देखिए, वहां भी उनको सब मिलता है। सेना में उनका कंट्रोल है।
सेना में उनका कंट्रोल है। Viewers, as a mature politician, you know when you have to draw that Lakshman Rekha, you know when you have to make a distinction between institutions. Everything and anything cannot be up for politicization. In independent India, recruitment to India's forces are not subjected to quotas, and there is no visible discrimination. And this was a deliberate choice for the reasons listed above, as I told you. To be sure, only usurpers like the British recruited from among certain denominations to ensure that the forces would never rise up as one. They learned from 1857. In independent India, that practice has been abandoned to the point where even those stratifications, even along regions, are now dissipating. And the motto inscribed upon the military insignia is a visible testament to the forces' service to this nation first. Viewers, Seva Parmo Dharma, service before self, is our only dharma, is that motto. The question then is, why is Rahul Gandhi willing to undermine the holiest code to sow the seeds of caste discord in our forces? What does one call a politician who is willing to blur every moral line for votes or cross it for votes? Fundamental question tonight, viewers, and I want to go straight across to Professor Muni and bring in Sanju Verma on this. General Bakshi is here with us, an army man who served with distinction, taken a bullet, and I don't believe that in the trenches he ever asked anyone their caste. So, Professor Muni, what's going on here? Is Rahul Gandhi today so morally bankrupt that he's willing to politicize our army? our forces, our military, our navy, our air force. What's wrong with him?
See, Rahulji, very less people in our country today have the caliber to speak for the downtrodden. Rahul Gandhi is one of them and media isn't. Facts are with him. Yes, very less people from the backward communities are in judiciary and army. It's a fact. As per the collegium appointments of 540 judges appointment in 2018 to 2022, only 22 were from SC/ST community. This is on record. 4%, 4% है वो लोग. In army, let's talk about army now. Army, SC/ST combined make up to 8 to 10% of total armed forces strength as per Lok Sabha question answered by Minister of State for Defence Dr. Subhas Bamre on Parliament, in Parliament. At the commissioning level, the gap is stark. In 1970, SC representation in the Indian Military Academy was a mere 1%, as revealed in parliamentary responses to queries from leaders like Jagjeevan Ram. Recent studies of 2020 show that SC/ST officers is less than 2%. Now compare this with US. US launched aggressive programs to include minority army officers after Vietnam War and raised percentage of black officers from 1% to 20%. But we are still at 2% inclusion of backward communities. Why? Doesn't it affect you as a journalist? You would have also faced caste discrimination. Don't you think that the backward
Are you telling me, Professor Muni, that when people are asked to do exercises to recruit, or when they're sitting for the NDA exam, they are being sorted out because of their caste? Is that what you're suggesting tonight? Yes or no? Just quickly answer. I want a brief answer, please.
No, not at all.
Yeah, then that's it. Then that's it, viewers. That's about it. Let me bring in Sanju Verma and the general. We've heard you, sir. We've heard you. You've given us a lengthy response. We've heard your statistics. Yes, Sanju Verma, quick one, and General Bakshi after that. General Bakshi is probably shocked tonight.
Rahul, I need my time.
Yeah.
You know, because you gave a lengthy monologue.
Go ahead, ma'am. Go ahead, please. Yeah.
Yeah. Please don't rush me. Thank you. First point is this, that who dumped the Kaka Kalelkar committee recommendations which wanted to give reservation to backward classes? It was none other than Pandit Nehru. Who dumped the Mandal Commission report? First, it was Rahul Gandhi's grandmother Indira Gandhi, then Rahul Gandhi's father Rajiv Gandhi. The Mandal Commission was implemented by the VP Singh government, which was supported on the outside by the BJP. It was the National Front government which the VP Singh dispensation was heading in those days. So the Congress has not covered itself in glory as far as empowering backward communities goes. The second point I want to make is who gave constitutional status to the National Commission for Backward Classes, which was pending for the longest time. Rahul, it happened under the aegis of Narendra Modi. My third and very limited point is this. I think one of the committees or foundations, as you might want to call it, which is very, very close to Rahul Gandhi and the entire Gandhi Parivar, is the Rajiv Gandhi Foundation. Who are the members of Rajiv Gandhi Foundation? Sonia Gandhi, is she a Dalit or an Adivasi or a Mahadalit? Rahul Gandhi is a member. He has himself said he's a Dattatreya called Brahmin. Priyanka Vadra is a member of Rajiv Gandhi Foundation. Is she a Dalit or a Mahadalit? No. Suman Dubey is one of the founding members. Is he a Dalit? No. P. Chidambaram is one of the trustees. Is he a Dalit, Mahadalit or Adivasi? No. Vijay Mahajan is one of the trustees of Rajiv Gandhi Foundation. Is he a Dalit, Adivasi or Mahadalit? No. Montek Singh Ahluwalia is one of the trustees of Rajiv Gandhi Foundation. Is he a Dalit, Adivasi or Mahadalit? No. So the next point is, Rahul, through your show, I want to convey to the Congress and Rahul Gandhi in particular, charity begins at home. Why don't you, with great band, baja, fanfare, get in some Dalits, Mahadalits and Adivasis into your Rajiv Gandhi Foundation, which is what you are so possessive about, which your family runs like its own personal fiefdom. And my final point is this. Imagine bringing the army into it. When I look at the army chief, I just remember it is a man called General Upendra Dwivedi. When I look at the Navy chief, I just look at a man called Admiral Dinesh Tripathi. When I look at the Indian Air Force chief, I just look at a man called Amarpreet Singh. And all these men did us proud during Operation Sindoor. Abhi kaun Dalit hai, Mahadalit hai, Sikh hai, Musalman hai, Punjabi hai, Sindhi hai, Kashmiri hai. We don't get into that. So like I said before every election, if you look at the template, Rahul Gandhi comes up with this divisive, caste-based narrative only to confuse voters.
But you need
and
to draw a
divide
line,
Hindu
viewers.
votes.
Every institution is not open for this kind of divisiveness. General Bakshi,
Exactly.
you heard the professor rattling figures about underrepresentation. He talked about the US Army that has brought in the minorities in the form of blacks and put them at 20% or what have you. Why does this not work for the army, sir?
Look, Rahul, can I make a passionate appeal as a veteran with snow white hair to all these politicians? For God's sake, leave the armed forces alone. They have stood you well. Over the decades since independence, they fought every war and come out with flying colors. Why are you bent upon destroying this institution which has saved the country so far? Is one of the most respected institutions in the country, and we had trenchantly refused to accept the caste system. We had trenchantly refused to accept any reservations, any quotas in the military. We had said the only criteria is merit. You are physically fit, you shoot straight, you come in. We have got open arms for you. When I joined my regiment, I was told, keep your bloody caste, your creed and any other nationalistic tendencies outside the unit door. Otherwise, we will kick you out. Right? Hum sab Bhartiya hain. We are all Indians in the Indian army. And we do not want to get in this pernicious disease of caste and creed. Is caste an Indian word? It is not. It comes from the Portuguese word casta. There was no word in the Indian language called caste. The British, Herbert Hope Risley, that so-called census commissioner, you know what he said?
Yeah.
As long as there is caste, there will be no India. The prime fault line they used to make Indian fight against Indian to divide et impera, divide and rule, was caste, man, caste. It is 75 years after independence, you still can't get rid of it.
Says General
You can't get a national identity, pan-Indian identity.
Well,
you must create these divisions. Now within the armed forces,
Doctor.
leave the armed forces alone. Can I beg of you? Leave us alone. God damn you, if you can't do any good to your armed forces, you didn't get us the Rafale, you didn't get us the weapons and equipment that we needed. Can you leave us alone?
Okay.
And not go, berserk with your caste.
Okay.
It is
Dr.
destructive
Ranganathan,
of national identity.
this is a passionate cry from a person who's taken a bullet, from a person who has lost loved ones. He knows what he's talking about. He served this country with distinction. This is General Bakshi we are talking about. Doctor.
Rahul, I am blessed to belong to a country that has heroes like General Bakshi. So thank you, sir, for defending us and saving us in no small measure. Let me come to the topic straight away. Rahul Gandhi, and I say this with all responsibility, is the male version of Arundhati Roy. In fact, the resemblance is uncanny at all levels, if not absolute. Because it was Arundhati Roy who claimed that right-wing upper-caste Hindutvavadi's army, Indian army, was responsible for perpetrating a war against Christians in Goa. When we liberated Goa, according to her, the Goa liberation was actually a war on Christians there. Rahul Gandhi is one step away from saying the same thing. But now I want to come to the other aspect. Everyone's spoken quite rightly about a very important issue. But can I also say this? The evil, diabolical doublespeak and hypocrisy of the Congress and Rahul Gandhi has in some small measure been exposed by my good friend Sanju, that they don't practice what they preach, that they've known for 40 years that the OBC percentage population of India is upwards of 35%, and yet For 30 years of their rule, they only had not more than 2.9% of all cabinet secretaries as OBCs. Why? And Rajiv Gandhi Foundation and so on and so forth. But I want to make an important point out here for people to think about, especially on this hallowed panel. Please tell me, Rahul, is the job of a scientist or a doctor, and I have tremendous reverence for our armed forces. I love them, I adore them. But is the job of a scientist or of a doctor any less important for the country than the job of a Jawan? The answer has to be no. You look at during COVID when our doctors were on the front line. You look at the war that we have won, Operation Sindoor. It's been won majorly because of Akash system developed by DRDO scientists. Then why, I ask you, is the Congress not clamoring for reservations in the armed forces or higher judiciary, but we have reservation and quota system in DRDO, in medical fields? Why? Is our job less merit-based than the armed forces?
Well,
this is a question that everyone has to ask.
Let me tell you.
Why are there two standards?
Well,
why are DRDO scientists subjected to quota?
I need to move on. No, so I'll just be very clear, viewers. Wherever there is an opportunity to create some sort of a vote bank, you'll see a bunch of opportunistic politicians land up. That's exactly what this is, viewers. That's exactly what this is, and we unfortunately are blessed with an opposition like this, viewers. And what do we do? What do we do, viewers? The choice is between either bringing in this institutionalized divisiveness, or, viewers, between a whole other bunch of people who think that today their surname entitles them to an opinion. That's just the basic fact. I need to move on because, viewers, again, this is a story